Anyway, we're back in the back. MJF tells Ward. Now, MJF is still there. He's still wearing the bloodstained shirt where he wiped Punk's blood off his face and wiped it across the picture of Punk on his shirt. And it's great that they're there. It's a fine thing that they're there. But if what happened earlier had really happened, either they would have been arrested or they would have left the building before anybody could do that, or they would have been run off or something would have happened. But now they're mixing their shit up. MJF is basically tells Wardlow he's so happy with him. If he wins the TV title, he can go ahead and keep it. He doesn't have to give it to MJF. And of course, like you're not going to win it anyway. And Wardlow fires up at him verbally a little bit, and MJF comes and slaps the taste out of Wardlow's mouth. You work for me. You're not a professional wrestler. They're trying to close the loopholes. You're not a professional wrestler. You work for me. You're under contract to me, not AEW. If you don't do what I say, you and your family are going to be out in the street. Well, that's a good deal. I don't have a problem with this angle. I have a problem with it as a follow-up to the amazing angle they just did. And now they're coming back. It's like George Costanza not leaving on the punchline, sticking around to fucking die later with bad material. Why are you pushing it? Let me ask you a question. Somebody's going to say, well, this had to happen before the pay-per-view, before whatever happens with Wardlow. They're going to further it, so this had to be on there, but it couldn't happen before the angle with Punk. Well, okay. In that case, after the angle with Punk on this television show, we shouldn't have seen any of these people again. And then on the pay-per-view, in the locker room, before the match takes place, we go back to get comments from MJF, who's warming up, and there he does the deal with Wardlow and the byplay and the slap and the blah, blah, blah. And then they go out and have the match, and whether anything happens in the match that connects to that or not, then back next week on TV, they show, well, folks, MJF and Punk fought on the pay-per-view, but before that match took place, some very interesting things occurred between Wardlow and MJF. And you show that on TV. Now, everybody's seen everything in its proper order. You saw this angle on television. You saw on the pay-per-view the slap promo with Wardlow and MJF, and then MJF and Punk and whatever they're going to do. And for anybody that missed that, we're going to catch them up with it on TV next week. Just spread the shit out a little bit. Any other thoughts before I go to our main event?
No, they've been teasing MJF Wardlow for
2 years.
For 2 years. It definitely feels like it's getting close to the payoff. I'm guessing he's going to have to go through Spears to get to MJF, but it seems like we're getting close to the end of Punk MJF. I don't know if they're going to go to a third match or not.
I'm telling you, God damn it, they should. MJF ought to win the first one and the second one, and then Punk win the third one.
Let me ask you this. In a perfect world, and obviously Tony Khan's formatting is not a perfect world, but is this, in your eyes, good for the go-home show? Or would you rather there be one more promo before the go-home show? On the go-home show, I should say.
No, this was good for this spot because it's fresh in people's minds, and now, boy, nobody has destroyed CM Punk like that in a long fucking time. And no, and there's nothing else you can say after this. Punk's strong point is not doing the I'm going to get revenge on you motherfucker promo. You know, if this was Jerry Lawler in the Memphis days, if this had happened to him, yeah, put Lawler out there for 3 minutes, sell us some fucking tickets. But I think this spoke for itself, and I don't think you need any more. And I think either side MJF's made his point, and everybody knows what Punk wants to do. I don't think that even Punk could tell people what he wants to do any more than what they're hearing in their heads anyway. So I think this was a good, to me, it's always best to leave the issue with the guy on top that people take as the underdog or the lesser name. In other words, Punk's a big star. MJF needed heat on him going into it. If MJF was a bigger star than Punk, then maybe they should have done this last week, and then Punk had a chance to state his case, cut his promo, or even try to get even just to show he wasn't down and out of it. You see what I'm saying? Whoever in the fans' eyes, most of the time, not always, but to me, whoever the lesser guy is in the fans' eyes should get the last word before the match that they have to pay to see. Or if both guys are even, Austin and Rock, then go with the heel getting heat at the right before the go home. That's just kind of what I always try to do. And it doesn't always work out that way, but it doesn't always need to be that. But if you're trying to really have a grudge match, a hot angle, and go into it with the heel having gotten heat, and you can go back and forth. The heel pisses on a guy's leg initially to start it. And then the babyface does something to make the heel look foolish or make the fans will laugh at him, embarrasses him. And then the heel comes back and does some goddamn violent mayhem or destroys some of the babyface's property or whatever the fuck. And then maybe you have a goddamn promo beforehand. But, you can go back and forth and keep it fresh with, well, we ain't even yet, motherfucker. But you can't. What AEW has done a lot in the past, remember we've talked about this, is they get heat on a guy and then they blow it all off on free television and then have the match. Remember the one time Jericho had a match with Jericho after Jericho had a match with Jericho. Well, that probably would draw if Jericho could referee it too. He'd love it. But
sounds like his dream.
Yeah, his dream match. MJF had a match with Jericho where it was supposed to be a hot grudge match after Jericho had flushed his fucking head in the toilet. That ain't a grudge match. It's over by that point. So anyway, that's my rule of thumb, is that there is no rule of thumb except I like to give the heel the heat going in, or the lesser name should have the advantage going into the thing.